Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how I fully automate Docker container deployment on Proxmox using GitHub Actions. By the end of this video, you will have a continuous deployment pipeline set up that you can deploy your Docker applications effortlessly. I'm going to cover setting up LXC containers on Proxmox, so these two, configuring a GitHub Action runner, and deploying a real application with Docker. Plus, stick around for a bonus section where I'll show you a useful application you can automate with this app. Let's jump right in. This is what we are going to create. First, we need a GitHub repository. It can be in your personal account or you can have an organization, up to you. Then we're going to have our Proxmox. I assume that you already have a Proxmox setup. Then I'm going to create two LXCs, one for GitHub Action Runner and one for our Docker application. Our final result will look like this. So we're going to have a repository, and here you can just specify your Docker Compose files. This is an example. You will have a Docker Compose file, and whenever you commit something to your main branch, all the applications will be deployed. For example, you can see this application was deployed and everything just works without you doing anything manually. So let's go to our Proxmox. This is my Proxmox setup. It's a simple Proxmox server with some resources and some containers already running. I'm not gonna touch these, I'm just going to create new ones. For our setup, I would like to start with creating just two LXC containers. Let's start with Docker. It's going to be very easy. We can use this website. It's open source. You can check their code and make sure that nothing is wrong with this code. So you can search Docker and you can find this Docker LXC. This will give you just a one-liner start for setting up your Docker LXC. So just copy the first line here, go to your main node, and then go to your shell, paste that in, zoom in a bit. Let's proceed. I would suggest going with advanced. Okay. I would go with Ubuntu, and more specifically Ubuntu 22. And for this one, I don't have any reason to make this container privileged one, so I will just go with unprivileged. Set a password. For now, I will just go with Docker 121 Docker test. I'm going to give 16 gigabytes of disk, 2 cores of CPU is enough, 2 gigs of RAM is enough. Bridges, okay. The IPv4, I'm going to specify it manually. And gateway, the rest you can leave it as default. I don't need root access, so I will choose no. Verbose mode, I don't need it. And create. It's going to take a few seconds to minutes. So the storage pool. Choose it based on your own configuration. I'll just go with this local one. Okay, now it says, do you want to add Portainer? I would suggest you to say yes. Now Docker Compose, also yes. And done. Next step is to create our GitHub Action Runner. So for that, I can 120 action password git next local. For template, I will choose Ubuntu 22. You can choose anything that you like. For storage, 4 gigs should be enough, but I will go with 8. You can decrease it later if you want. CPU, I would say let's give it 2 cores. Memory, 512 should be enough. And network, 192, let's see, 68 to 120. And gateway. The bridge should be this one. This my setup for you. It can be different. So do next DNS. Let's stick with the host setting and finish and done. So now we have this container right here, this container right here. I can check this. And this. You can see the containers are up and running. So far we have created the containers. The next step for me would be exposing the TCP port for Docker. Just do systemctl edit docker.service. And you need to come here in between these two sections. And then add this part. The only thing that you want to change is this part. So save it. Next step is this one. And then this one. We have prepared everything on here. Now let's go to GitHub Action configuration. So let's give it a name. I would name it Proxmox Docker. Okay. It can be public. That's fine. I don't need anything else, so I'll just create a repository. Let's go to setting. Here, go to action, and then runner. And now we can just add a new self-hosted runner. And here you can see all the instruction. Choose your operating system, which in our case is Linux. The architecture is correct. And the rest is going to be only these parts. So what I'm going to do is on GitHub Action, let me see, I'm going to choose a directory. I'll say go to data. And here, just some copy pasting. I need to install curl. and hopefully we should work. Next step is to validate the hash. Okay, it's not installed. I don't need that really. Then do this one. Nice. Now I need this. Okay, we are in the right environment. Let's do this. User add GitHub action. And then I will say chown recursive for action runner. To GitHub action. Or it might be capital. Okay. Okay. Now switch user to GitHub. Okay, it's working. Enter the name of the runner group. I will just leave it default. The name is okay. The labels are okay. Service.sh, then start. Okay, now it needs to be okay. So svc start. Let me see the help. It was install and then start. Now it should work. Now if I go to runner, yes, the next part. So I'm going to take one of the repositories, one of the services that I'm running at the moment. So let's just create the same file here and just grab everything that we have there. Let's create the file. I will actually grab everything I have here and remove everything that we don't need. I don't need these. Our Docker is 1, 2, 1, and it will be triggered on any push on master branch. This strategy, it's a good way of running the same steps for several workflows. So I'm going to add something later. Docker compose file, I assume that whatever our stack name will be, we're going to have the same file right here with the same name. So this should match this. What we're going to do, we're going to check out the code. We're going to set up a Docker context, which is basically a way that you can manage a different Docker elsewhere. So it's very simple. The only thing that you're going to do is specify your Docker host like this. So it's going to be TCP IP and the port with a name. And whenever you want to interact with that, you can just say Docker -- context, the name, and then the rest of your command. It can be Docker compose, Docker ps, logs, whatever. So the next step, we're going to use this context to pull any images that we have. And the next step is actually Docker compose up. And after that, no matter what was the results of these steps, we're going to delete the context that we created in this step. Let's commit and see how our setup works. I'll name it init commit on master. And did I git push origin master? Now let's see. Now you can see this right here. If I go to actions, you can see init commit one job and it failed. Let's see what's the reason. And Docker command not found. So that's interesting. We need to also install Docker on our GitHub action. Okay, so if I say Docker, it should work. Now let's rerun the failed job. Okay, good news. We are pulling this image, but inside here. So this is executing a command on this so that Docker LXC is pulling an image so that it can run it later. So let's see what's the results now, and it works. So 121. Yes, it works. So let's name it test. And voila. For the last part, just before we wrap up, I wanted to show you Watchtower. You can set up a schedule so every day on 4 a.m. this container will check all the Docker images in my machine. It's going to check everything for any updates and it will update it. So you can see different configurations here, and also you can specify an NTFI topic name with a title so that whenever you receive an update, it will notify you there. You can just get rid of this if you don't want it. So for now, I'll just say Docker test here, and for the update, I'll say update. So how to deploy it? Very easy. Just add a line right here. Grab Watchtower name from the file name, and that's it. Now, how it's going to be deployed? Just add the new file and also the new matrix from here. Deploy Watchtower, commit and push. And so deploy Watchtower has two jobs. One is deploying Uptime Kuma and one is deploying Watchtower. So the first one is done. There wasn't anything to do. Makes sense. And now it's pulling Watchtower. And it's done. We can also revisit our Portainer address of my Docker LXC and then port 9443. Open it. It's an HTTPS. Okay, it works. Password for this. Create a user. Okay, so this is my local Docker. If I open it, you can see I have two stacks, Uptime Kuma, Watchtower. The name for this stack is actually specified right here. Then you have your containers. You can see the logs for different applications. You can see images, network, and volume, event, everything. Okay, that's it. If you enjoyed the video, if it helped you to create a better automation for deploying your application, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel.